And I'm talking about really, really being yourself. The ugly, the hidden, and the raw. So I have been following my own advice, which is why I had a really hard time uploading any videos. I was super in a chaotic state of being. Reason I had to do this was because for about 2 years I was so stuck in growth, and in such a horrible way too. There was just little to no improvement in how I felt, and it was interesting because to the outside world I looked pretty good. I looked pretty healthy because I was very much overcompensating to hide specific parts of me that were very much present, but I just didn't want to admit to myself, let alone others. You like my pen, by the way? It's a little crown because I'm a little queen. Yeah, I was just overcompensating to the whole world, talking about meditation, talking about journaling, talking about the pain I used to have, but how I have improved, and etc. etc. Now, these were all just quite big lies that I was telling mostly myself and thus telling other people, so that I didn't have to feel the parts that I was actually hiding away. This means that I was putting up a show, and putting up a show is really tiring. It's so tiring, and it's not gonna bring you anywhere. It keeps you stuck in that exact same show, because you cannot grow in a show. You cannot actually grow inside if there's a layer that you're living in that isn't actually inside. So I was lying to me and to the people I love. So I took off all of my filters, and that was a really tough journey to actually see myself properly without all of the extra lies. Without all of the filters on, it was so incredibly difficult. I had to look at myself, like really look at myself, the forbidden, the hidden, ugly parts that I just pushed away for several years, not only for myself but for others. Just really didn't want to feel so broken. It was so incredibly hard to look at myself in the mirror, knowing that all these forbidden and hidden parts of me really came to the surface, and I was able to see like how fucked up I really was inside, how much chaos was happening that I've been hiding away for several years. And it was even more difficult to look at my loved ones' eyes and knowing that they actually saw me now for who I am, which is, in my opinion, a bit more difficult to deal with than the average person. But even though it was so incredibly difficult, there was one part of it that made it so incredibly worth it, which was that insane relief of my shoulders to not have to lie to myself or others anymore. To just feel free in who I am. No more limitations, no more lies, no more filters, just raw, unedited me in your face, in my own face, and just feeling that freedom of like, I feel fucking sad right now, or I feel fucking angry right now, and that's so fucking fine. So that's the part where things started to really shift into a positive experience. The more I felt that freedom, the more acceptance I started to feel for parts of me that I was ashamed of. And it still takes a constant, conscious reminder to tell myself that it's okay, that I do not have to pretend to be somebody else, that it's okay to live this human life as who I really am, not as a lie. Because imagine dying and being like, well, that was a fucking show. The part where everything really shifted was with this acceptance, with this slow, steady, constant reminder of acceptance of who I really am. I started to really feel truly what was happening inside. So let's say years ago I was really fucking sad and I would push it away with meditation or with journaling. Now I would be really fucking sad for a small thing, maybe, like a small trigger. And I would just be like, okay, I'm fucking sad right now. Average humans probably would be like, why are you crying over such a small thing? And I would be like, no, it's fine. It's fine, I'm really sad. And I'm gonna feel this sadness thoroughly. If I have to scream it out, I will. And I did. And with that came relief. And with it came knowledge of where these feelings actually came from. And with it, I found out that 9 out of 10 of all of these really intense triggers and feelings that I was feeling were just from wounds in the past that I haven't tended to. I haven't really looked at, because I was just like, this really huge slash in my arm right here of the past. That's fine. Just put a sleeve over it and walk further. So because of this new understanding of where these feelings came from, I was able to tend to these wounds much better than I was in the past. Slowly but surely, I started to gain certain type of love and acceptance and attention to these parts of me that really needed to be seen. And because of that, I was able to find new tools that I needed to deal with those emotions, such as sadness. Also, another reason that being myself really was a healing journey was because I had to deal with consequences of really intense feelings that I had hid away. So, for example, with my sadness came really bad coping mechanisms. So if I would just unfilter myself and be sad and just let that sadness, that intense sadness overwhelm me, I would use really bad coping mechanisms. So, for example, I fell into a way of harming yourself. So I harmed myself, and a month later I was like, wow, I deserve better than this. I deserve so much better than hurting my body that is trying to keep me alive at all points. I deserve better tools. So instead of pushing myself to find or use given tools that don't really work for me to be normal, I was able to look at it from a different perspective, which is, okay, this is the consequence of me feeling everything so intensely, and I don't want to suffer that consequence. I want myself to feel like I'm more capable to pick me up from that sadness, for example. It became a conscious decision to not want those bad consequences for myself, instead of this shameful desire to be normal. I'm still in this journey, but things have really changed in these last few months. I am able to tell people how I feel and also what I need, because I really am listening to myself now without filters. I've made some choices because, for example, I used to live in the Netherlands and I moved to Spain. I've been living here for 3 months now. Really big reason was because I just started listening to myself. And let me tell you, it was a good choice. I am much happier here already. There are so many positive things that happened because I was myself, even though it's so difficult, which is why I'm making this video. I want to tell you my positive experience with being myself. I feel more accepted and more seen for who I really am by my loved ones and by myself. I'm able to speak my needs out loud way better, and I'm able to give myself what I really need. I am inspired to grow, not because I want to seen as a normal person, but because I really don't want myself to feel this hurt that I felt in the past. I am more aligned with my own desires and with what I want and what I feel than I've ever been. And I feel like a really big part of life is just really about this, about accepting who you are deep inside, even the parts that you're ashamed of, and slowly building real tools that are made by you, for you, to deal with who you are and to create a more accepting, aligned life for yourself. Sorry if it's loud, I just wanted to change the scenery for a little bit. I don't know if it aligns with everyone, it might not. If it did spark a little interest or inspire something in your head, I selfishly will ask you to click a like button and maybe subscribe to my channel. I feel a lot more comfortable being online on YouTube and sharing a little bit of my life. If you're interested in seeing more of this type of content, and also a few other things. I will try to upload every Tuesday and every Sunday. Might not work every week, but I do feel very inspired to create this community where we can talk about ideas and grow together and talk about the fun things in life, and also the really not fun things in life. Maybe you feel inspired to at least filter a little less of what's going on inside your little brain, your little amazing brain. If you made it all the way through the video, thank you so much for giving me your attention. I don't know, my brain is not braining anymore. I've been trying to film this video for a while now, so thank you for watching. I love you, you're gorgeous, you're amazing, and hopefully see you in the next video.